Hi, everyone. I am really hesitant to take any time at this point in this conversation, since most of the things that I've been thinking of saying are things that are really probably well suited for a general discussion. But I'll take a few minutes and I'll hand over to Karina as the time. I think this has been, and I think many of us will have found this to be a very, very, very rich time we've had together. Not a lot of time to process, not a lot of time to follow up when we've seen interesting people or heard interesting ideas, but a lot to take away with us. And the kind of it, one thing I wanted to say that, just a little story that was sparked in my mind by the contrast between the African time and the North American time. I worked and met Linda in Nova Scotia. And I was there for 8 years, and I moved there from Toronto. Toronto is a large city in Ontario, and I was in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, which was a small town in a smaller province. And the times, the movement, the ways of being were very, very different in the two of them. And what I found was when Torontonians came to Antigonish and they went into a store, the person working in the store finished their conversation before they served them. And the Toronto people felt they were so rude. And when the Nova Scotia people came to Toronto and they wanted to ask a question, the people from Toronto answered them very quickly and then moved on without sharing the time of day. And the Nova Scotia people felt they were so rude. And in fact, both places, when you knew people and were from there, were very, very helpful and very friendly and actually to be relied upon. So it's the experience of going from one culture to another, even neighborly, next door, is really, really important, I think, in learning how much we can rely on each other and how much we need to be able to see what's offered and what's given. And I think the reminder from Karina that actually we are working with perspectives and paradigms and visions and knowledge that will be welcomed. It will be welcomed. You know? And one of the very, very important political gifts for me from Genevieve's theorizing is I come through Marxism, and I am beyond a recovering Marxist. I think we, in a deep feminist movement, or what I was talking to Wahoo last night, a true feminist movement, where the true spirit of life and of humanity and of transformation is reflected in our practice. We do have something that speaks to people. You know, and oftentimes if we're being resisted, I'm not talking about ideologues, I'm not talking about professionals, I'm not talking about all those who've been separated, as Linda talked about being separated in Colombia from her womanhood, but people, connection, people to people, and certainly woman to woman. Our vision will resonate. And if it's not, we have to think more about it. We have to use the responses we receive and the energy of our organizing and our connecting with each other as a real good test of whether what we have to say is worthwhile, what we're proposing works, and so on. So there's a trust, and there's a respect, and there's an expectation that what our increasing understanding from each other gives us is that ability to learn, and the ability to not presume we're on the right track and not always take the answers to everybody, but to hear and to learn the answers and to know we're among those who are working in that direction. And I think that's something that I feel very, very strongly myself. I never finished what the Gen one, what I learned. That from Marxism, if you're a visionary Marxist, if you're a Marxist who's concerned with ending alienation, with everyone being more human, that understands the exploitation of one person by another person, the economic exploitation to be one part of the human disintegration, the denial of our humanity, our alienation one from another and within ourselves, then what you're all about is creating new socialist man. There's the notion that we need to create the people who can live better and live more freely. And when one looks carefully at Genevieve's analysis of ourselves as homo donans, we really just need to be able to be human. There's a big difference in the nature of the project, whether you have to create something that hasn't existed, or that we aren't, or that's unnatural, or needs to be made, or we need to be able to be human. And our politics is being able to create the spaces and the activities and to organize and to build and to create the world where that's possible. So we're working with our own natures, not against. I think that's very important. The other learning, I think, that I feel coming very strongly from the discussions, from the hearing from our sisters with knowledge of personal research, knowledge of societies that are matriarchal, are not patriarchal, have not been distorted and moved from the human, is that very strong sense that we are all important. That huge significance of our life, the path we're on, the work we want to do, how we're named, where we're meant to be. Looking at every moment in terms of its meaning and what we can offer and what we can learn so we're hugely important, but it's not ego. It's a way of accepting our responsibility without guilt, which is so crippling, and it's a way of being important, making the contributions, understanding the significance of what we do, without being into that I, me, myself, and I think as women, as feminists, moving forward and building on the ways that women give, the responsibilities women take, the knowledge of how affirming women, moving power to women, is really the way to a human society, that we can do it in a way that is true to what is the best potential in our humanity, which is to be every single one of us to have supreme significance and importance, and have it not reduce the significance and importance of anyone. And this is at the heart, the egalitarianism, the unity in the diversity that comes to look so obvious. And yet is such a major achievement to create the spaces where we can live that way and we can feel it. Not just know it, but feel it. And to me, every single one of us, in absolutely all of the different places we come from and the different places we struggle and we are grounded, is essential to being able to live that and to create those spaces. So I just like to say thank you, and let's see you this afternoon.